Hello, I'm Chrissy Cochran, and I'm here with evangelist Karl Hargestam. He is the founder of Joshua Campaign and Mission 111, and now the CityServe Executive Director and VP of Affiliates. So Karl, that's a lot. And I know that this is all to finish the Great Commission to spread the gospel of Jesus. So can you tell me why?
Yeah, no, this is good. The background to a lot of these things is this foundational thought that really 30 years ago for me, and I think people wonder, because the journey really looks kind of random, when we start mapping some of that out. But it came from this idea. It should be a birthright for every person born to at least hear the gospel once in their life. Not only the church can do that. United Nations, some of the agencies around the world that is trying to advocate for human rights or the right of water or schooling. Well, the idea that everyone should hear the gospel once in their life, that out of that we call the mission statement one chance for every person to hear the gospel. That it led to almost 30 years ago us ending up in Africa and Joshua Campaign. In fact, the instruction became I call it 3M, but really the instruction was part of us living in the last days. And the idea of last days is today, the age of the church is almost 2,000 years. We're coming to an end. If you look at the age of the world and the age of the church, the final chapters in many ways, we think is the finishing of the Great Commission, preaching the gospel to every person, everyone hearing the gospel once. And, we set out to Africa and didn't have all the missiology and definitions of what that meant. It was just the idea of that. In fact, that's when I learned to fly a helicopter and came to U.S. even to begin and met Jennifer. But we set out to do this. And in the beginning, as we set out, the Lord kind of gave an instruction. I wrote this down 25 years ago. And out of that became kind of template. We didn't know what that meant, but we felt like 3 M's. Joshua 111, that's what Joshua Campaign came out of, and Mission 111 as well. It's an organization. Joshua, the first chapter, actually begins speaking to the idea of God's people standing at the brink of the promise of God, the promised land. Moses had saved them from Egypt and slavery, and they were standing there at the river bank of Jordan. And the instruction was, if we look at the promised land, not just as the New Jerusalem, eternal glory, because we don't conquer that. That is won by grace. In fact, no effort, by Jesus' blood alone. But the idea of the assignment almost being the Great Commission is the conquering or the assignment God gave to his people. Here's the land I give unto you. As Jesus almost says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me, as he dies on the cross and gives this assignment to the church. Now go and tell everybody, preach the gospel to every person. That assignment as God's people stand at the river bank of Jordan. God reminds Joshua, says, now Moses, my servant, is dead. Here's the assignment, same as I gave to Moses. And here's the same promise. As I was with Moses, I will be with you. And so here's the same assignment, same promise. And they're standing there, and Joshua responds by faith. He has this statement early on, is like, be bold and courageous, God says. Don't look to the right or left. But Joshua's response in verse 11, that's where Mission 11 comes from. Verse 11 is, go through the camp and tell the people to get ready. In 3 days you will cross Jordan and finish that assignment. And I felt the Lord talk to me about 3 M's. You're going to do it by mass evangelism and mission networking and mobilization. And it began with mass evangelism. Joshua Campaign became gospel festivals, and some of them very large. And the Lord just started movements across the world that still continues today. And then mobilization became Mission 11. Schools training up pioneers to go where people never heard the gospel. Places, and that still is going on and is growing around the world in many places. And it's almost became cycles. And I'm looking back at the mirror over the last 25 years. 7-8 year cycles, and then we came into a season of mission networking that almost in one way CityServe is building this incredible, in fact, with hubs and pods and supply chains, resourcing the church as God's answer from the neighborhood to the nations, to live out the mission of Christ, the gospel of Jesus, in all these areas that we think Scripture teaches about. We feel we're living in incredible times, and all of this is coming to this wrap where we're seeing the Lord, I think, full circle. So I'm looking back, and a lot of people wonder how and why, but I think it's part of this end time assignment. Christ preparing his church for this final hour, the incredible moment of not just having church, but be the church, from the neighborhood to the nations, to the very unreached that never heard the gospel before. And
that's incredible. So we got the 3 M's.
That's right.
That really God spoke to you 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So we have the mass evangelism, the mobilization, and now mission network.
That's right.
Right? And here we are now with City Serve,
Yeah.
building out those networks.
That's right.
That's incredible.
Included, in fact, in City Serve, you have one that is unreached, of course.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's about the full gospel and the whole gospel.
Yeah.
And
that's incredible.
It's amazing.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Karl. And thank you guys here. It really is about one chance for every person, from your neighborhood to the nations.